Okay, people, if you like books, here's my first book review. I'm doing this video because I watched Gary Vee video, and I'm going to show you how to increase your income no matter what job you are, if you're sales, if you're a business owner, or no matter what you got going on. The knowledge in this book, Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, is just incredible. You can, and I'm going to share with you my story. And the only reason I'm making these videos is I have nothing to sell you, so don't worry about it. But I'm going to teach you how to make more money, how to be more successful almost instantly and overnight. Something that took me about 20 years to learn. So just take some notes because it's super easy. You can do it now. You can do it immediately. It'll start working immediately. But I'll guarantee you, almost you can't do it. Pretty much you can't do it. And if you read this book, Napoleon Hill's Outwitting the Devil, there's about a 98% chance you can't do what he's saying in this book. But it's something simple you could do every day, instantly, and instantly the universe or God or whoever you believe in, but you know, it's easiest just to think of it as God or the universe. Well, I guess whatever. The universe, God, it makes it easier to think of it that way. Because whatever the thing that controls the universe, God, good energy, whatever you want to call it, it's very easy to use, very easy system to use, but nobody does it. It's accessible to anybody, but nobody does it. None of us have been taught really how to do it. It's changed my life. It's taken me from 6 figures a year to 6 figures a month. Doing this one simple thing that my wife, my Tony Robbins coach, anybody I've been working with for the last 8 to 10 years, pretty much could have told me instantaneously, but I wasn't really ready to hear it. And then through some events in my life, so I'm gonna tell you how I went from basically growing up from a single mom with no money. I mean, we weren't like dirt poor, but we weren't, definitely weren't balling. Had no power a few times, but I'll show you how we went there to having a multi-million-dollar business that produces just a ton of cash flow, and I attribute it all to learning this one thing. Because once I learned this one thing, it like instantly took our business off. Like things in my life started changing instantly, but it didn't happen until we made this one thing. And I'm telling you, from reading a lot of biographies of John Rockefeller, Mr. Marriott, Mr. Sam Walton, the Walmart guy. If you read any of their biographies, they inherently, sorry, I only got like 3 credits in junior college, so forgive my bad grammar. They instinctively knew these things, and instinctively, make sure the dog's not chasing me, running out. They instinctively knew all this stuff. You can do it instantly. This will make you a millionaire, not overnight. Now, I have nothing to sell you. I don't know how to make you a millionaire. I'm just saying, you just use these systems and these tools, and it will happen for you no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you sell, no matter what. But it is friggin' hard. And I'm going to show you through my pain pill addiction and all my other 10 million addictions I had, because I have like the most addictive personality ever. Like good and bad. Like I was addicted to pain pills for, I don't know, 6-8 years, maybe more. I don't know. I didn't count. And like I did P90X every day for 3 years. I'm still not that skinny, but it's kind of weird, discouraging. But anyways, so I have super addictive personality, and I learned most of this through my pain pill addiction with my family and with my wife. And it's easy. You can start doing it now. Let me get right to it. So I'm making these videos because like Gary Vee, Ty Lopez, Patrick Bet-David, they're like, how cool would it be to see videos of your great grandfather walking around and getting to know his thoughts. So I'm doing, this is my first book review I'm doing on Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. So most of you are probably watching this. If you are watching, I don't know, I might not even post it, but he wrote Think and Grow Rich, obviously, which if you ask any successful person, pretty much every single one of them have read that book and attribute a lot of their success to what he put in there. So I know myself, I read it so many times, maybe like, I don't know, so many times, like 3 or 4 times, but every time you learn something new, and you learn all kinds of cool stuff in there, about being successful, about, I'm walking back this way, about being successful, what to do, what systems you need to employ. And then he wrote this book, Outwitting the Devil, and his wife would not let him release it, and his family would not let him release it. It did not get released till 70 years after he died, because basically he goes over what I found out instinctively, and this is the only reason why I'm making these videos, is because he kind of confirmed what I learned. And then also I heard, who's the guy who wrote the Power of Why, or Simon Sinek, something like that. I heard him on a Tom Bilyeu interview, and he was talking to him about it, and he's like, I guarantee you, you cannot go 2 days without not doing this. And what was he talking about? Being truthful, being honest. Now, it sounds simple. You may think you're doing it, but you are not. You are not. I can almost guarantee you, and I don't even think it's 98%. I think it's more like 99.5% from what I've seen. That's why there's so few billionaires. That's why there's so few super rich people, because nobody can do this. And yeah, there are some probably evil billionaires and stuff, and you know, oh, okay, so dinner's ready, so I got to wrap this up fast. So there's these super billionaires, I'll guarantee you most of them are super good people. I'll guarantee you most of them are pretty trustworthy and honest. Now you got, you know, a few psychopaths, maybe you got your Bill Gates or whatever, maybe, you know, allegedly. So I'm sure there has been quite a few, you know, there has been rich people who have done bad things, of course. But for the most part, I'll guarantee you, you meet any rich person, they're like super good people, super honest, super, you know, my word is my bond, handshake type of guy. And the only reason there's so few people like Sam Walton and Mr. Marriott and Mr. Rockefeller, now maybe his son, John Rockefeller's son, maybe he is a Illuminati world global takeover person, which probably is the case. But I think Mr. Rockefeller himself was a super good man, especially reading his biography. Like, he went to the same church since he was a teenager. He would like go sweep up the church when he was a teenager to help out. He would donate 10% of all the money he ever made throughout his entire life to this little church in, I forget where he was from, like New York. Oh shoot, I can't remember. See, that's why you don't do drugs. Drugs are bad and my mind's fried. So I try to do my best to remember most of this stuff. But anyways, this is a simple lesson. Simple lesson. We're all super dishonest. We like, and it's not like you might be lying to your clients. You probably aren't. You probably aren't doing bad shit. You're probably not ripping people off. You're probably not stealing things. You're probably not, you know, not having integrity maybe with some of the stuff you're selling. But what are you doing at home? What are you doing when you get home when nobody's looking? That's where I think that's where I think everybody misses it. That's where we all miss it. That's where, I mean, I see it in my own family. I see it in my employees. I see it in people that work for me. Like, look at like this dude. Like, look over here. I just moved in this new house, and then you know, we hired these guys to like paint for us. And then like this was like 3 months ago. The paint's already fallen off. And I told him, I'm like, you guys ordered the wrong paint. And I think, I'm pretty sure, because it shouldn't just come off after 2 months. It's just like disintegrating. Like, oh no, we didn't do that. That was the right paint. And then in the back, they're like, the guy gave us the wrong paint. And I think he actually gave them the right paint that time. But they, you know, they made up all kinds of excuses, and you know, that sounded reasonable, but you know damn well they're BS. They're, you know, they painted the deck in my back, and the first day when we went around the deck, we were underneath the deck, and he's like, you want me to paint it underneath so it looks nice? All right. So so I was like, yeah, of course, that'll make it look nice and smooth. So so he like told me to my face, and I can't blame him, because I did the same shit when I was 21 and I owned a landscaping company, and the guy that I was doing the fake grass, I owned a landscaping business, and the guy, he had like 2 spots in his lawn, like edges that he wanted it all one roll of grass, because like in synthetic grass, if you cut it, you kind of have to like put a seam in it, you know, kind of like carpet, you know, when they do the doors and stuff. And he's like, I want it all one piece, and I didn't do that. and I made like, I didn't really make an excuse, but I knew he had asked for that, and I didn't do it, and so he didn't pay me. And I was like, all right, yeah. I mean, I just dealt with it, because yeah, he was right, I didn't do it. And then I go around and I see people, employees, my own family, everybody, and they just everybody does the same thing. Maybe you're not lying about like stuff like that as a business person, maybe not, but you know, we in the United States, we do like $20 billion worth of drugs. Now, I've done drugs most of my life, and you know, when you're doing that, you're always doing something shady. You're having to go somewhere, you're having to tell little white lies here and there, you're having to do things for extra money that you might not supposed to. So maybe they're not big lies, maybe not, all these little things add up. People like my family, all they do is talk bad about the other ones, like this one's doing this and this one's doing that. And I see it in people all the time. Everybody talks bad about each other. I don't know if that's just a US thing or worldwide, but I think it's a worldwide thing too, because I remember hearing an interview with this guy from India, and it's always amazing to me, because all the Indian people I meet, they're all like, seem super nice people. They're super smart. They always, you know, we hated selling to them in timeshare, because I sold timeshares for many years, and we hated selling to them, but you knew if they wanted to do it, they were going to pay cash. They all had money. They were all super smart. Y'all knew they had 800 credit or whatever, or they would pay cash. But I was watching this interview with this Indian guy, and because I was always like, how is that country, like a lot of it's still really poor, but I was like, how are these super smart people who are all super educated, like having, you know, why is their country still so shitty? It's not shit. I don't know. I've never been there, but I know a lot of it's still like, we watched this show called the Mumbai Railroad, and there's like people hanging off of the rail cars and like just crammed into these trains and stuff. And so and then this Indian guy's like, well, a lot of people over there are like not very trustworthy and not very integritous, and I forget what else he was saying, but basically he was going over what I'm trying to go over right now. And so it's a thing. It's a real thing. And when you don't do that, when you lie in the shadows, you may not lie. People can tell. Like when I was in my pain pill addiction, like I worked at the timeshare resort I worked at, you know, as a high-end resort, and they would send surveys, like, you know how businesses send surveys every time you meet with somebody, like, how did we do, whatnot. So every day, every tour, so you'd meet 2 or 3 people a day, and every time they'd get a survey. So the one December before I started my business, say 6 years ago, and what was I gonna say? So we started, so I had just relapsed on my pain pill addiction. I had been trying to get off of them for like 2 years, and they give you some medicine called Suboxone, which is freaking horrible, by the way, and it's worse than the pain pills. It's like, I mean, it's like a better drug than pain pills. I mean, it lasts longer, and you can abuse that one too, and they give it to kids. And you know, a lot of these school shooters are actually on stuff like that, so I'll get into that. But so I was on that, but then even still, sometimes I would relapse, and then sometimes I would relapse and I wouldn't tell my wife right then. But obviously she's a woman, so she knows everything, because women are like better at everything than men, except for lifting heavy shit and coming up with big ideas, maybe opening jars, but you know, and then they're super good judge of people, and they know their bullshit meters in full force. So, you know, so she would know. And then I would tell her like a week or two after I relapsed a couple times, because obviously I didn't want to stop doing it while I was doing it. So I would lie to her, even though she would say it right, you know, ask me right to my face, and I would lie. But then I would tell her like a couple days later or a week, and she'd be like, yeah, no shit. And then she's like, when you do that, she's like, because my sales would always be up and down for 10 years. I could never get, I mean, I always did really well. I made $250,000 since I was 26 years old. And every year I'd make between 150 to 220. And I'd be like the number one guy or the top two. You know, I was never like superstar, but I'm always like the number one or number two guy, because, you know, I always believed I was honest and integritous, and I never did anything bad by my clients, and I never lied to them. I'd always tell them the truth. If they didn't need to buy it, if they're old, I'd be like, yeah, you probably don't need to buy this. You're 80. I don't know if you're gonna get your return on it on your 10-year timeshare break even, but because I wouldn't do that. But my sales would always go up and down, and it would never be like smooth. And my wife's always like, well, that's good when you're lying, even if it's just to us but not to your clients, people can tell that. And then the one day, and then the one time I told her, and I was like, okay, I took one, and then I just called her right after and I told her, and she's like, that's all I ever wanted, was just for you to tell the truth. And then like from that point forward, like and then for the next few weeks, anytime I did anything, I would just tell her, and I would just be super honest. And then I would just tell her whatever was going on. I would just be honest. And then that's like all she ever wanted. And I swear within literally a month of that happening, then I got, you know, fired from my job, which was actually a blessing, because my wife had been working like 14 hours a day running our business that we kind of just started by accident almost. And she was working so many hours, and she was so stressed, and I got fired for like a stupid reason. Like they thought I was doing something wrong, even though I wasn't. And I got fired, but it was the greatest thing that ever happened to us. And we were already making like $30,000 a month. So it worked out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. And so ever since that happened 6 years ago, I've been just being super honest with anything. I just tell the truth. Even if I don't want to see somebody, I don't make up an excuse like, oh, I gotta go here. I just say, oh, sorry, I'm busy, whatever. But I try not to ever try to lie ever. And then, you know, after that happened, a few months later, I got my surveys back from the month in December where I had been lying to her. And for 3 years where I worked, I would always get like, you know, the best customer satisfaction scores. I'd always be like 9 out of 10, especially in like trust and integrity, because I always like treated people right and gave them the right deal and gave them the best deal and didn't sell them shit they didn't need. But like those 2 weeks when I was lying to her about me doing the pain pills, all my surveys, not all of them, but like most of them for integrity or trustworthiness were all at 5, like 5 or 6 out of 10. Which is crazy, because I would say the exact same thing almost in every presentation for 10 years. And all my surveys always came back like super good, and people love me because, you know, I just joking, but that just really sank into me, because I had this guy work for me when I rented out RVs named Crackhead Todd, and this guy would lie to me all day long. Like he would just always have an excuse for something. He'd always be coming up with something, and it was pretty obvious. But like he thought he was doing good in his mind and that I was buying his bullshit. So he would keep doing it. Like he thought he would he thought he was getting over on me, and then once he would say like crazy stuff. That's why we named him Crackhead Todd, because he like got addicted to drugs again. I think he was, and then he like relapsed or whatever, but he was lying. And then I would tell my wife, I'd be like, does he like not know I'm lying? I would like almost call him out to his face. And she's like, no, that's exactly what you would do. But you like think you're doing good, but you're not. Or you think that people believe you, but they're not. And you can feel that energy. So, you know, there's a lot of Chinese massage parlors everywhere I go, every city. There's people scam me all the time, like for free rooms. They'll like stay there. We rent out condos, so people like stay there and they'll call their credit card companies that it was a fraudulent charge and all this and that. People complain about the littlest shit. All those little things you do to stay out of integrity, all those things you're lying about when you're talking bad about your kids or about your parents or about your coworkers or about your boss or about your employees or about your clients or all that stuff, that's what makes you not successful. So I highly recommend you reading Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. He goes over all this stuff. He calls it like the drift, how this book is incredible. He basically goes over how the government, schools, politicians, your parents, you learn a lot of this stuff from your parents, from the school system, from your pastors, your priests, your religious people. They all teach this to you, and it all gets embedded down in us, and we all learn it from these people who do the exact same thing. And it's like your mind gets caught in like a whirlpool. And we have like I don't know if it's like 50,000 thoughts a day. We have 50,000 thoughts a day, and like 95% of them are the same as the day before. That's why, like, when my mom comes over, she literally says almost the same thing every time I see her, about her sister does this and her sister's doing that and this happened and did you hear about this, or do you remember this from 30 years ago? Like literally the exact same thing. And he talks in here how your mind, it's called drifting. He says the devil gets a hold of you and has you drift has you drifting from all these things you learn from these other people, and you don't even realize it. And that's how the devil takes control of you. And when you lose control of your mind, you lose control of being able to think. Like now with all this COVID stuff and all this stuff where people just going along with it and whatever, that's just because we're like programmed from birth by our parents, our clergymen, our teachers, all these people. And then we get the wrong things in our mind. We treat people the wrong way. We do things without integrity. We don't do things right. And we're not honest with ourselves. We're not honest with other people. And that's what causes all of your problems in life. But when you get your mind focused on telling the truth, being honest, acting with integrity. Like I know I listen to Grant Cardone videos, and he talks about how thieves always like could make way more money than they do the dishonest way just by being honest. Like if these dudes that painted my fence, if they would just been honest or done a good job, you know, rather than be lazy and just try to cut out and be done with it and not come back and do it the right way. I mean, I think they have tried to like say something because their boss said something and do it, but now I don't even want to bother to deal with them because I know what's going to happen, and then they're going to want more money and this and that, when if they just would have done a great job, and God only knows they probably do this at every place they go to. And so if they would have just done a great job, not been so lazy, people would be calling them back, repeat. Like I have a ton more business I could have gave them. But people don't tell you you're a liar to your face, or they don't tell you they don't like you or they don't trust you. They just don't call you back. They just don't do business with you. It's happened to me plenty of times, trust me, you know. So that's what happens when you do that in your business, in your life, at your job. Like, my wife worked with this lady, and she's like, I don't know why they always pass me up for promotion, and they don't, you know, promote me. And she's like, well, you know, to be honest, you're always over at your desk complaining about how much work you have and like how little you want to do. And, you know, you're always complaining about the boss and about the company and what they got going. And she's like, and you can overhear that. Everybody can overhear that. Even the boss and the managers. And you know, she got like really mad at her and she left, and she was like pretty upset. And then she ended up calling her back like a few hours later. I think it was a few days, whatever. And she's like, you know, you're right. You're right. I guess I have been complaining a lot and just going and, you know, complaining about what I do and everything. And you see, like, yeah, people notice that, and it has a big effect on them. So if I can encourage anything, whether you own a business, whether you're in sales, whether you sell roofs or solar, you own a business, you own a bakery, whatever, be more honest, act with more integrity, read this book, Outwitting the Devil. Keep your mind right, keep focusing on doing good. Do good everything, especially when no one's watching. I mean, so many of us are addicted to drugs, have addictions, go into massage parlors, spending money on your credit card, not telling your wife or your husband, or telling them you spent $200 when you spent $400, you know, sneaking around, having affairs, talking bad about people behind their back. That's a huge one. Probably, I mean, everybody does that. I mean, and then if you hang around people that do that even more, you're going to get even worse. And that's why your life doesn't improve. That's why your sales don't improve. That's why, like that 10 years, I swear I went to every Tony Robbins video. Hey, brother. I watched Tony Robbins. I went to Tony Robbins seminars, went to Dale Carnegie things, read tons of books, and nothing ever changed. It always happened to be the same, no matter how much I worked on it and tried to do the hard thing. It just never worked. So if I can, I'm just passing this information on to you and my grandkids, if they ever watch old grandpa. Here's a quick video. But God bless you guys. Do good, try to do better, be more honest, act with more integrity, and the results will speak for themselves. All right, take care. God bless.